Hey there, I'm Bill Pollock. Thanks for joining me here at MissouriNet.com. Let's run through week 2 of the SEC, just focusing in on the East Division, and then we'll talk about Mizzou, some of the things that I liked, some of the things I'd like to see change as they get ready for UCF. But first, Kentucky is 2-0. They had wins over UT Martin and then Ohio. They play the Florida Gators this week. The Gators got their first game of the season in. They had their first game against Idaho canceled because of lightning, so they snap a 7-game losing streak. They beat up on Eastern Michigan, a team that only had 2 wins last year, so not really much to draw from there with the Florida Gators, but they do get a win. Tennessee off to a 2-0 start for the 4th straight year. They finished below 500 the previous 3 seasons. They'll be 2-1 after this weekend, though. They play number 6 Oklahoma. Vandy beat up by Ole Miss. This game was a joke, got out of hand right away. I think Ole Miss scored on 7 of their first 8 possessions, 41-3 win. I would say, without a doubt now, as you look at the back end of Mizzou's SEC schedule, 3 wins there with Vandy, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Steve Spurrier got his 200th win, but it certainly wasn't easy or pretty. 33-23 over East Carolina. The Pirates were within a touchdown early in the 4th quarter. And isn't it kind of funny how the predicted SEC East champs are now ranked lower in the AP poll than Mizzou? Mizzou is 20th. The Gamecocks, after just 2 games, now ranked 21st, and they were way up there. So what's really funny about South Carolina, and I thought, by Halloween we were going to know whether or not Mizzou was in the SEC East chase, but by the end of September, South Carolina could be out of it. Next week, they take on number 6 Georgia. They've got 1 game under their belt, and they looked very solid. Very good chance at South Carolina they're going to lose their second home game after rattling off 18 wins in a row. Very good chance that Georgia goes down there and beats them. And then in a couple of weeks after that, Mizzou is down there. And listen, I think the Tigers have a very good chance of going down there and beating South Carolina because they have not looked impressive. Now, they've got time to turn it around, but it's very possible that on Sunday, the 28th of September, they could have 2 losses against East Division teams and be completely out of it because they've got Auburn later on their schedule, Florida, a very difficult schedule for South Carolina, and they're going to be in trouble, especially if they lose this first one here against Georgia. So we'll keep that in mind, and we'll watch out for that. All of a sudden, a 4-team race in the SEC East could go down to 3 here in just a couple of weeks. What I liked about Mizzou's, and I got to apologize for my voice. I'm all stuffed up by sinus infection, having a hard time breathing, so bear with me. But what I liked about Mizzou's win, three or 4 things. One, overall, the team got better. I think if you looked at each position, they got better from the first game against South Dakota State. Even though Mizzou gave up 2 touchdowns in the 3rd quarter to Toledo, what I liked, and one of the things that we've seen here the last couple of years with Mizzou is they play real well in the first half, get off to a fast start, and then they can't get it going in the second half, and they struggle. What I liked is the defense came out, got a 3-and-out, and then put together a 13-play drive. They score a touchdown. They're up 35-7. Now, I know they had the 2 touchdowns that they gave up. One of them an interception from Matty Mock set the whole thing up. They gave up 2 touchdowns in about 2 minutes and 20 seconds. But Mock in the offense, a couple of big plays the other way with Bud Sasser, and they turn around and get a touchdown right back. So they finish the 3rd quarter, each team scoring 14 points. But I like the way that they came out and they kind of had that intensity in the 3rd quarter. Of course, the defense, 46 straight games with a turnover, and the defensive line, looks very strong. But listen, not to take anything away from Marcus Golden, but even I, sitting on my couch Saturday, could have told you the ball is going to be snapped. How many times, if you're Toledo, how many times does it take your center or a coach on that staff to tell the center you have got to wait longer than a second and a half because you're doing it at the same time? Quarterback, snap, wait, here comes the ball. Golden was jumping all over that. It was amazing. So anyway, good job by Golden and that defensive line. They got a lot of depth there. That's going to be their strength. Now, again, I think the defensive backs gave up a little too much. I don't like the fact that they're constantly 8 yards off the receivers at the line of scrimmage. I'd like to see them attack. I don't think if you get into SEC play, if you're giving those receivers 8 yards, you can put as much pressure as you want on the quarterback with that defensive line, but if you're not closing, if you're not putting pressure on, you're not going to come up with a lot of interceptions. And I don't know if Mizzou has the talent with their cornerbacks right now to be able to step up, put some pressure on those wide receivers, get in their face, disrupt their timing. Now you get a good pass rush on. Now you're forcing that quarterback into some difficult throws. I'd like to see them pinch in a little bit more. But right now, they've got some work to do on the corners. Matty Mock he's got to stay in the pocket a little bit more. I'm seeing a lot of Blaine Gabbert in him. Brad Smith, James Franklin, those were running quarterbacks. They had the arms to throw the ball. But when they were under pressure and they went through their progressions and there was nothing there, they took off running right away and they went straight and they gained positive yards. Gabbert and his happy feet like to spin, always like to spin out of the pocket, and he didn't have the speed to be able to take off and get around the edge. Same thing with Mock. Mock has speed. I think he's got better speed than Gabbert. But he's starting to do the same thing, though. I'm starting to notice that. 6 games in, 6 starts. As soon as he gets under a little bit of pressure, he wants to get out of that pocket and start rolling out. And you either want to be a running quarterback, you don't want to be a scrambling. If you're scrambling, to me, that's a negative word for a quarterback. And right now, Matty Mock is a scrambling quarterback. Anytime there's pressure, he's getting out of that pocket and he's spinning away from trouble. He's actually putting himself in more trouble. I think he needs to stay in there a little bit more. So I'd like to see him hang in the pocket a little bit more. If it's not there, then take off, because I think he can run up the middle and pick up some extra yards that way. But you start scrambling and getting to the outsides, he's going to struggle. So those are the 2 things that I'd really like to see improved: cornerback play and quarterback play. Although Matty had a great game, I want to see him hang in there a little bit more. So we're going to talk about UCF. I've got Mark Daniels, the play-by-play guy from Central Florida. He's going to join me on Tuesday morning at 11:30. And I'll send this out on Twitter, let you watch it live if you'd like to. He's going to join me on the phone, but we'll get all of the info that we need with the game coming up against the Knights on Saturday at 11. That does it here for this video. Thanks for watching, and we will talk to you again soon here at MissouriNet.com.